Wednesday, August 14th, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. This morning I want to talk about the Bank for International Settlements, or the BIS in Basel, Switzerland, and why people need to know the history of this bank. It's the bank for the central bankers, and it's been around since 1930. Before I go a little deeper into it though, let's quickly look at the market. It's 7:12 a.m. London time. Yesterday was a topsy-turvy day, of course. We had the comments on the trade negotiations with China that helped the stock market. Stock market rallied strongly. Gold and silver came off not all-time highs, but recent highs. Gold got up to 1535. Silver got up to 1750, yeah, and then markets turned right around on that comment. Stock market rallied over 400 points, almost 500 points. So we had a very volatile day. Silver got back down to 1650, so a $1 range. Came back up though to around 17. Gold traded back down to let's see, what was the low? Yeah, 1480, and then rallied very strongly as well. I don't think they're going to be able to keep the precious metals down. Granted, there's probably a lot of speculators, a lot of trading going on, stop losses, but I think things are still fine for precious metals. I don't think the stock market is out of the woods either. So let's quickly see what we're doing this morning. We've got gold at 1502, so still holding that 1500 level in spite of all the volatility. It's virtually unchanged from the close. The low's been 1494, the high 1504. Silver's unchanged as well at 1696. The high's been 1703, the low 1686. As I said, the stock market did well yesterday. The Dow was up 1.4%, 372 points. This morning, the Dow is up 10, 26,289. S&P is up less than a point, so virtually unchanged, 29.26. NASDAQ 100 future is down 1 point, 77.28. Currencies, sterling is unchanged, 120.60. Euro still fairly weak from yesterday when I spoke. Right now it's 111.70. I think we were around 112. It is unchanged on the day though. Dollar is down 1/3% against the yen at 106.37. But we did see the dollar rally against the yen yesterday. Dollar's up 1/3% against the Chinese currency, 703.28. WTI crude is down 1%, 56.46. So it did rally yesterday as well, oil, with the stock markets. Brent crude 60.64, down 0.75%. So oil is a little stronger. The bond markets, you'd think yields would have rallied a lot more, but they haven't. They did rally a little bit yesterday, but we're still like at 167 on the 10-year. It's down about a basis point this morning. The 3-month is at 204. So we're at 37 almost inversion. So that's telling me that there's something wrong with the overall economy. And that's why I think the rally in the stock market is short-lived. And I think this is like the boy crying wolf, what they're doing with these, to manipulate the stock market with these comments on trade. And I know that some products that were supposed to be on the list for September 1st have been taken out of the list of products they're going to impose tariffs on China. But don't forget, this trade deal was supposed to be completed by the 1st of March 2019, which is almost 6 months ago. So there you go. The other thing I wanted to note, People keep going on about, well, the U.S. Treasury, they named China a currency manipulator. But I wanted to show you the chart of XAU CNY, or gold in Chinese yuan. And we've seen charts recently that I've showed of how gold is breaking out in all these major currencies. But in Chinese yuan, it's actually still below the all-time high, which was reached in September 2011. The all-time high was 12,292. We're still at 10,500. So how about the UK? How about Canada? How about Japan? How about Australia? How about South Africa? All those currencies who have devalued a lot more against gold. Aren't they manipulators either? So there you have it. That's my my thoughts on this currency manipulator status that's been given to China. They should give the whole world currency manipulator status, even the Treasury itself, U.S. Treasury. So, well, yeah, the U.S. has been manipulating its currency since 1971, when it went off the gold standard. Anyway, let's have a look now at a book that I have recommended a lot in the past, and I recommend it again for the new subscribers, new viewers of the channel. That's something I do fairly regularly, recommend books that I think are good in understanding our current monetary system, in understanding how central bankers are a barbarous relic, in my opinion, especially in a world of readily available information where the general public can learn about how things really operate. They can learn the nature of money and monetary systems. Everything's out there. People don't have to work in Wall Street or in the City of London or have PhDs. Everything's available to you. And that's how I've learned about it, because I didn't learn much about monetary history at university because they don't want to teach people, or even at school, they don't want to teach the true nature of money and banking, which is really fraudulent. But it's no excuse now, right? And one of the great books that I recommend is this one here, The Tower of Basel by Adam Libor, the shadowy history of the secret bank that runs the world. The Bank for International Settlements, or BIS, in Basel. And it's not bank of, it's bank for international settlements. I see a lot of people making that mistake. Well, this bank was basically founded in 1930 by international treaty by the major countries, major Western countries. And why was it founded? Well, in order to collect the reparations, payment from reparations from Germany from World War I, because there was a lot of problem, of course, as we know, in the 1920s with the hyperinflation. They had to have a lot of new deals with Germany because, as we know, at Versailles, Germany was imposed some huge reparations. So that's why the Bank for International Settlements was created, to help France, England, the US, Italy, Germany, Japan, all those warring countries settle their finances. But as we know, the central bankers and the people behind them, the globalists, they always, how can I say, kill two birds with one stone. You would have thought that this bank doesn't need to be around anymore, but they always find, how can I say, a function for these kinds of institutions. And the fact that also it was created by international treaty. It's an international institution. It has some kind of status, even in the UN. The central bankers from the US, from the Fed, Bank of England, all around the world, that meet every other month at the Bank for International Settlements in Basel. They carry around diplomatic passports. when they're traveling in on BIS business. So they're like diplomats. The BIS as well is in Basel, Switzerland, but it's actually a sovereign entity where the bank is in Basel is a sovereign entity. So Swiss police cannot go into their offices to investigate. So it's a secretive bank. It's still around. They market themselves here. They say BIS, welcome to the Bank for International Settlements. Promote financial stability through international cooperation. I mean, since they've been around, what kind of financial stability have we had in the world? Very little, of course. No, they're there to promote central banking. And another book that I recommend is Lords of Finance, which I read a few years ago, and I need to refresh and read that again. It just goes to show how all these central bankers work together, how, and this is what he says here, Liaquat Ahmed, the Great Depression and the bankers who broke the world. And they're doing the same thing now. They're breaking the world with their policy of zero interest rates, negative interest rates, money printing. They're breaking the world again. So why is it a shadowy institution? Well, for me, the biggest, how can I say, proof of that is in this book here, and it's on chapter 5 under the title, An Authorized Plunder. I won't go through the whole thing. I recommend you buy the book and read it. Don't want to be here for too long. It says, so basically it's how the BIS and the Bank of England, they all work together, of course, and they still do. Basically, the BIS, Bank of England, helped the Germans, how can I say, loot gold from Czechoslovakia when they invaded Czechoslovakia in 1938 in the Sudetenland. So that's on chapter 5. Highly recommend that. So here's a quick proof of the Bank of England's complicity. The old lady of Threadneedle Street, right? Time to retire that old lady and shut the bank's doors. We don't need central banking in the world of free markets, of where people are learning more and more about money. We don't need the central bankers to control the money supply. We need to control our own money supply. So this is what it says here. The first order instructed the BIS to transfer the 23.1 metric tons of Czechoslovak gold held at the BIS account at the Bank of England to the Reichsbank BIS account, also held at the Bank of England. The second order instructed the Bank of England to transfer almost 27 metric tons of gold held in the National Bank of Czechoslovakia's own account to the BIS's gold account at the Bank of England. So it all went through. Because it says here, Malik and his fellow directors hoped that it would be obvious that the instructions had been issued under duress and so would not be implemented. The Nazis had just invaded Czechoslovakia and would obviously target the national gold reserves, but Malik had not reckoned on Montague Norman, the governor of the Bank of England, had no interest in whether Czechoslovakia was a free or Nazi colony. Political considerations must not affect the BIS transactions. The transfer order, he said, must go through. So yeah, Montague Norman, he was governor of the Bank of England for 20 years until 1944. The other interesting thing about the BIS is that at Bretton Woods, the Norwegian delegation, I think they pushed for the abolition of this bank, the Bank for International Settlements, but it was John Maynard Keynes who actually blocked that. So the British delegation blocked the abolition of the bank that helped finance World War II. Don't forget, all the major bankers still dealt during World War II. Yeah, they were dealing, the Germans, the French, the English, Americans. Not officially, it was a JP Morgan banker who dealt McKittrick. So that's why these wars are all bankers' wars. And when people talk about World War II, they never talk about that. And that's why this bank needs to be shut down, just like all the other central banks. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and you can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.